Hello guys, today we're going to be doing a video on PUBG using the GTX 1050 Ti. We're running a Ryzen 3700X with 30 GB of RAM running at 3200 MHz. Alright, let's jump into the settings. We're going to be starting it off with 1080p on the very low preset. These are our settings. Yeah, let's jump into it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and test the CPU side of things out as well. I forgot to do it originally, so I'm going back and doing it now. We're running the game at 720p very low settings. Looks like with the 3700X, we're not running into a CPU bottleneck at all. We are kind of sometimes, but looking at our CPU usage, CPU core 1 and CPU core 8, 3 and 5 are the main ones that are doing the majority of the heavy lifting, but it kind of rotates around. It's not a consistent full core CPU usage, I guess. Majority of our cores, like 6 of our cores, are sitting at 0% most of the time and bumping up to 12%. So far, the game's running above 60 FPS, which is pretty good. I was expecting a little bit more for very low settings. I just think that's creepy. I was expecting a little bit more for very low settings, but we are getting a 60 FPS experience here. One problem is that the game doesn't look very good on very low. You can really put the 4X on my... Okay. Let's go ahead and put this on there. There we go. So the game on very low settings runs decently well. We do hold a steady 60 FPS, and when we're in the sky, we hold 70 to 80 FPS, which is pretty good, but that doesn't really matter. But on the ground, 60 FPS is pretty decent when you're just normally playing. But if you make too many fast turns or like sharp turns with your mouse, you definitely feel the drop. It doesn't feel as fluid as it normally does. And we definitely do fall into the high 50s as well at times. Seems like I'm a bot too. What is he doing? Okay. We'll ignore that. What do you have on here? Okay, let's go. Let's get out of here. This area is too packed. One more thing that I should add is with the 4X, the aiming definitely feels a bit off. Jumping into 1080p low settings. Tomorrow we should be getting Overwatch 2 as well, Overwatch 2 beta. If I get access to it, I'll definitely be making some videos on that as well. I should be able to get in, but it'll be pretty exciting. I'm not really sure what videos I want to make with it first. Maybe the 1060 or 1050 Ti first, and then we went to the 3060 Ti, 3080 and all that. So yeah, if you're new here and you like the content, make sure to subscribe. Aiming is really rough. When you zoom in and shoot, I think we fell into the 40s. It's very difficult to aim. So I think what needs to be done is we gotta lower our resolution, I think. I think that's the ideal thing to do for this card. Probably 900p will be the sweet spot. 900p low settings or 900p medium settings. Not really sure. But so far on low settings we are ranging between from the mid 50s to the low 50s into the high 40s. Medium settings. This will not be running well. We already struggled a bunch on low settings, so pushing it up to medium, just not gonna run well. But I'm guessing our FPS is gonna be ranging between the mid to low 40s, maybe some dips into the 30s as well. But this will be very hard to aim with. Okay, not bad, 50 FPS so far. So it's kind of funny. So the jump between very low to low, we lost about 5 to 10 FPS. And the jump between low to medium, we only lost 5 FPS. Now we're falling into the mid 40s. There we go. Once we actually go outside, we fall into the mid 40s. And at that point, aiming is going to be very difficult. You can obviously get used to it, but just imagine all the other things that could be affecting your FPS, like smoke grenades, Molotov grenades, anything like that. You're going to be seeing an even bigger decrease in your performance. Push it up to high settings for our last test and see what performance drops we get from this. Whoa, Performance is definitely degraded. This feels pretty rough to play right now. Trying to aim. I mean, it's definitely doable, but you're putting yourself at a pretty big disadvantage playing at this frame rate. Now, our FPS seems to be ranging between the low 30s to the mid 40s. It's not the best, but if you're going to play at high settings, this is what you're going to be getting. And I gotta say, the quality increase between medium to high isn't really a lot. And playing at high settings, I'm sitting at 3.8 gigs and it's increasing as well at times to 3.85. So we only have 150 megabytes left of our VRAM. So we're definitely pushing the card to its limits. Now we don't really have to use the built-in presets. It's best to go and tune your settings around very low to low for this GPU at 1080p. Don't use the built-in presets since they aren't very well optimized. Some settings are very demanding and they don't give you a lot of quality, and some settings are not very demanding but they give you a lot with how much they take. Now, playing at 900p allows us to play at above 60 FPS consistently and have a very good experience. So 900p, very low. I do have NIS turned on as well, so now this will upscale us up to 1080p and it will give us some extra sharpening as well. So yeah, we're getting around 110 FPS average. Now this feels way better to aim at. Just aiming quickly feels really good. So far this is the way I would play it. 900p with NIS enabled. Now we can push our game up to low or medium settings with this resolution as well. And yeah, you can definitely tell from the wall on the bed that it's definitely more in focus. It's not as blurry as it was before. This looks way better compared to 1080p very low even. Now going outside, you don't really see too much of a difference. It still kind of looks pixelated in the distance. But objects up close look much better than very low. VRAM is sitting at 2 gigs now, so we're sitting at 3.5 gigs at 1080p. And now we're sitting at 2 gigs, so 900p and 1080p aren't too far apart. So it's kind of surprising how much VRAM we saved by just playing at 900p compared to 1080p. I think medium settings should be our limit on this card. Now this looks way better. Now this is probably due to us having higher levels of anti-aliasing now compared to low and very low. It's a pretty massive difference comparing the three. Very low, low, and medium. Now this looks better than 1080p low and very low, and obviously better than very low at 900p as well. All the jagged edges on the grass and the trees and any object here is pretty much gone now. They look very smooth. And I remember we also have NIS enabled as well, which will give us some extra sharpening. So this is pretty much, I will say that anti-aliasing is definitely something you should enable if you do like the smoother edge look. Now comparing the image quality between high and medium, I don't really see too much of a difference. It looks very similar to each other, but we're obviously losing a lot of FPS. Medium is the best quality preset, is the best balance between quality and performance. So that's what I would go with. Medium at 900p. And if you want the best performance, you don't care about the quality too much, play at 900p, very low settings, but turn the anti-aliasing up a little bit, just so you don't get those jagged edges and sharp edges on the grass and all that. I think I wrapped the video here, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a like and a subscription. Really highly appreciate it. See you next time.